From out of the West comes America's famous fighting cowboy, Red Ryder.
Swipe them cattle with the cavalry and Red Ryder just laying for us?
The cavalry won't be laying for us, believe me. But we'll be laying for Mr. Ryder. The next thing you know, some cut-priced undertaker's going to be laying Mr. Ryder. Laying him out.
Well, there's a grand Red Ryder story waiting for all of us. It's new, different, and it's jammed right up to the hilt with adventure and excitement. I guess most people think the Old West was hewn out of a barren and forbidding country by the white-hot lead spewing from the business ends of Colts and Winchesters alike. But there's an interesting sidelight in this Red Ryder story which proves that brains and ambition and inventiveness had at least as much or more to do with winning of the West than the fastest hair trigger. Now, as we join the big red-headed cowboy, Red Ryder, we find him heading toward Devil's Hole, accompanied by that ever-present Buckskin and, of course, Little Beaver.
Red Ryder, if we buy him all supplies Annie Duchess write him down on shopping list, we're going to have to hire a wagon in Devil's Hole to bring them all back to Painted Valley.
Well, Little Beaver, you're half right. This is a long shopping list, but we're not going to have to hire a wagon to bring most of it back.
Samson, the strong man, ready. If you're thinking of making a packed mule out in Buckskin budget, you got another think of coming.
No, Buckskin. It's too late to make a mule out of you. Nature beat me to it.
Well, now, that's... Huh?
Buckskin. Buckskin, what's the matter with you? Buckskin, what are you mooning about?
Huh?
Well, your body's in your clothes and you're on top of Scissorville, but your mind, if you'll pardon the expression, is 3,000 miles away.
And I just got to thinking, Red. This here country around here reminds me of the days when I was a courting one of the prettiest Irish lasses man ever saw. A colleen by the name of Sheila O'Brien.
O'Brien? Well, what sort of an Irish name is that? The name's O'Brien.
Sure, now you were telling me the last of the old blodgets how to pronounce Irish names.
It don't sound 'em right to me. O'Brien.
The last of the O'Blodgets, eh? All right, we'll just see how expert you are in pronouncing Irish names. Buckskin, how do you pronounce M-C-M-A-R-T-I-N?
M-C-M-A-R-T-I-N.
Yeah.
That's McMartin.
All right. Now, how do you pronounce M-C-G-O-N-N-E-G-A-L?
M-C-G-O-N-N-E-G-A-L. That's right. That there's McGonagall.
Oh, say, you're not doing bad. All right, let's try one more. How do you pronounce M-A-C-H-I-N-E-R-Y?
M-A-C-H-I-N-E-R-Y. That's McHenry.
Oh, no, it isn't. M-A-C-H-I-N-E-R-Y is pronounced machinery.
Someday, Red Ryder, you're going to push a man too far. You're always a putting words in my mouth.
Yeah, you're lucky it's only words because you got them off big enough to drive a whole stagecoach in.
You know why you think I'm about stagecoach, Red Ryder?
All right, Little Beaver, why?
Because you just see him stagecoach coming down Cutback alongside of Ghost Mountain.
Well, give the young Injun a chocolate cigar. Little Beaver, go on to the head of the class.
Say, I see that there stagecoach now. Look at her come.
Yeah, look at it come. That driver must be absolutely mad to come down a mountain grade at the rate. Good night. Now I see what's wrong.
What do you see him?
See those little puffs of smoke coming up from the side of the stagecoach? That smoke's coming from his brake shoes. They must be burned out.
Well, race horses to runaway coaches, let's cut across this field and head for the mountains. I don't know what we can do, but I'm betting my money you'll figure something out, Red.
All right, get around there, big fella. Up into those rocks. Stretch thunder!
We're overtaking the coach, Red.
Yes, but how are you going to stop him, Red Ryder? Road's so narrow.
Well, there's about one chance in 10,000, son, but I've got to take it. If I can squeeze Thunder alongside that coach without having him fall off the side and drop down 3,000 feet, I'm going to make a flying jump onto that wheel horse's back and pull in that team.
I'll be praying for you, Red.
Thanks, partner. All right, reach out there, boy. Dig in. Go, Thunder. All right, Thunder, if you slip, it's lights out for both of us. Driver, see if you can keep that team straight, will you? All right, alongside that wheel horse, Thunder. And no. All right, slow there. Oh, that's more critters. Come on, keep running. Oh, ah.
Hey, Redhead, you just performed a miracle.
How are your passengers? If you got any women inside, they probably fainted by this time.
Lucky thing I ain't. Only passenger I'm carrying now is a youngster heading for Dry Wells.
Gee, that was exciting. That was a wonderful ride.
Was it? Youngster, that ride you just had was so wonderful, your destination, instead of Dry Wells, came near being the pearly gates.
Well, I guess maybe I was a little scared.
Yeah, just a little, huh? Well, my handle's Red Ryder, youngster. What's your name?
My name's Bill Halligan. I'm from Chicago.
Well, Bill, what are you doing all the way out here?
Well, my pop thought I'd been studying too hard, so I wrote his brother who owns a ranch at Dry Wells. And I'm supposed to be out here on a vacation.
Uh-huh. Say, driver.
Uh-huh.
With your brake shoes burned out, you'd better stay here until I can ride into town and send out a blacksmith.
Good idea. But this youngster's got to get through to Dry Wells.
Oh, he's going to get through all right, and all in one piece. I'm going to swing him up on my horse and put his baggage on an old swayback called Scissor Bill and deliver him to his uncle in person.
Gosh, this is real exciting.
Well, by golly, that's downright nice of you, cowboy. And so's I don't have to stay here till it's too dark to work on the wheels, you better be climbing on your horse and heading for that there Halligan Ranch at Dry Wells.
Well, Mr. Halligan, all I can say is I'm glad I was able to do it. So I think we'll be hitting the dirt and making tracks for home.
Why, it'll soon be dark now. At least you can do stay till morning.
Sure, Red. I'm Mr. Ryder.
You go on and stick to Red, Bill. It's good enough for me.
Aw, come on, Red. Little Beaver and I can have a lot of fun together. Why don't you stay over till morning? Please do, Red Ryder. Me and Little Bill are having plenty fun. Bill know how to make them sparks out of electric wire.
Oh, sort of a Thomas Edison Jr., huh?
What my brother wrote me, the youngster is sort of an Edison. Matter of fact, he spends entirely too much time with batteries and wires and light.
Lightning rods to electric motors. I bet that youngster knows as much as I do.
Are you giving odds, Buckskin? So you're studying electricity, huh, Bill?
Uh-huh. I'm studying to be what they call an electrical engineer.
Well, Red, how about it? We can put you up in the bunkhouse and make you comfortable, and I'll personally fix you the best hunk of sirloin you've had in years.
Sirloin? Well, don't just stand there, Red. Thank the man.
Okay. You happen to have a phone in the house? I better call my aunt and tell her we won't be home till morning.
Just had a telephone put in a few weeks ago. You'll find it back in the kitchen.
Good. Now, while my two partners go and clean up, I'll make the call, and then we'll all pitch in and help you with that dinner.
Uncle Jim, can I have some more bread and gravy?
From the size of your appetite, young Mr. Halligan, I'd say studying electricity too hard hasn't done you any permanent damage.
Billy get him big appetite while you fix him up dinner.
Telegraph to telephone. You should have seen that there little Easterner trying to learn to ride Papoose bareback.
Bareback? Well, didn't you get thrown, Bill?
Oh, a couple of times. Couple of times? Me counting past 12.
Me stopped counting past 10. Run out of fingers. But little Bill got up each time, climbed back on that there paint horse's back, and finally rode him to a fare thee well.
You see, Red? That's the old Halligan family spirit. Never say die.
Yeah, never say die. Unless you get jealous of Red's hair and want to match the color.
Oh.
Buckskin, you know something. You're funny.
I think so myself.
And for one, I don't mind. I can stand a little laughter around here.
Oh, you can, Mr. Halligan? Why? Been lonesome? Or something been worrying you?
Far from lonesome. With all that's been going on around here, I haven't had enough time to be anything but worried.
Well, since you brought it up, what seems to be plaguing you?
Oh, a couple of high-binding so-called ranchers. You see, as soon as I could afford it, I strung barbed wire all around my spread, and they sort of feel I fenced off their range.
But it's your ranch, Uncle Jim.
Doesn't seem to work out that way here in the West, Bill. Just because one Mr. Halligan put up strong wire on his own property doesn't mean someone's not going to tear it down and try to graze their cattle on his grass.
Tearing down the wire's only half of it.
Several Simons, sidewinders, you mean they've been spraying lead?
Well, they started out just threatening. Then they ripped down the wire, and after I put it back up a few times, then's when things really started to happen.
Well, just who is this buzzard who's giving you all this?
Red, they're at it again.
Certainly sounds like it. Well, come on. Our horses are still saddled up. Let's get after them.
That shot went right past my ear.
Well, Little Beaver, you and Bill stay here.
I'm not afraid, Red.
You youngsters do as you're told. All right, steady, Thunder. Are you all ready, Halligan?
Yeah, ready and willing. Get up.
Stretch out there, fella. All right, let's run those rascals down. Whoa, Thunder!
Darn luck, Red. Them there varmints had too much head start.
Yep, they're disappearing now into those cottonwoods.
Well, let's keep going a while. And say, isn't that two men coming toward us?
It sure is, and I think I know who it is.
Neighbors?
Yeah, fine neighbors. These are the two I think have been behind all this bushwhacking and rustling.
Well, let's slow down. Give them a chance to have a little neighborly conversation. Slow, big fella. What's the name of that tall one up ahead, Halligan?
He's the polecat who's the brains of the outfit, Lobo Lawless. Howdy, Halligan.
Who now?
Go out hunting, Halligan? Hey, we thought we heard some shots.
You double-dealing
Now,
backbiting.
ho, Halligan. That's no way to talk to a neighbor. Yeah, we were hunting. Hunting polecats. Two-legged variety.
Always open season around here for that kind of game. And you don't even need a license, huh?
Oh, but we do need a license. The state always has to issue a license to hang anybody.
What's he talking about, boss?
I think I know what he's talking about, Iago. But I don't think he knows what he's talking about. I think he's just blowing off a lot of hot air.
Why, you loud-mouthed sheep stealer. No one's going to say things like that in front of me about Red Ryder.
Red Ryder, huh? Too bad I met you. Now that I've seen you, you don't even look tough at all.
Well, as a matter of fact, I'm not tough, Lawless. It's just that I don't like threats or men who use them.
Sounds as if you're trying to threaten me.
Now, that's where you're wrong, neighbor. Wasn't threatening you at all. I was just trying to give you some good advice while there was still time.
Well, I ain't above taking advice even from you. Though I doubt that anything you can say would interest me.
Okay, Lawless, in that case, I'd better make it short and to the point. And if you keep on threatening and harassing Halligan, you're going to find the point's got 2 points. The first, the point of 44, and the second, a point of law, when a federal judge sentences you to hang by the neck until you're dead.
Hey, now, Wildcat wire's really turning out to be one whale of a Red Ryder yarn, and it looks like perhaps Dry Wells isn't going to be the healthiest spot for little Bill Halligan to recover his health after all. Returning now to our story of the West that lives forever, we find Red Ryder and Bill Halligan's Uncle Jim are back in the saddle again, their range horses in an easy lope as they head away from the Halligan ranch.
Well, I guess you know what you're doing, Red, but I'm doggone if I feel happy about you and me leaving the ranch with only Buckskin there to look after the two youngsters.
I know Buckskin probably impresses you as a pretty helpless individual. But you take it from me, Jim. In the clutch, Buckskin's got the heart of a mountain lion and the fighting energy of a tiger.
Lion is a pretty good name for Buckskin. He tells the tallest tales I ever heard.
Yeah, he's got an alibi for his tall tales, too.
Yeah?
Says he tells tall tales because he wears high-heel boots. What a man.
Oh, Red, just what is this idea of yours? I mean, us riding over to the cavalry post.
Well, it's really quite simple, Halligan. You got your deed to your ranch from the federal government. And therefore, it's up to the federal government to protect your property rights.
I know, Red, but how do you think the cavalry can catch Lobo Lawless? I haven't been able to.
Well, they'll catch Lawless, if he's the guilty one. But before I can attempt to prove that, the colonel's got to pledge us his cooperation.
Well, Red, I've heard enough about you and seen enough of you to trust your judgment.
Well, fine. So with the downhill stretch ahead of us, what do you say? We get these horses moving so we can get back to the youngsters and your ranch as soon as possible.
All right, roll, fella. Turn up that dust. Come on, thunder.
Ouch, wow. I'm burned. I've been electrocutionated.
You're not hurt, Buckskin, but you should never grab the bare end of a live wire. What make 'em wire hot? You just got end of wire, stick 'em in a glass jar of water, Bill. Well, it isn't exactly a glass jar of water, little beaver. It's something an Italian named Volta invented a long time ago. There's a strip of zinc and a piece of copper which I found in the kitchen, put into a glass jar with a salt solution.
Oh, you can't fool me. Salt ain't hot. It's pepper.
No, honest, Buckskin. When you put a piece of copper and a piece of zinc in a jar of salt solution or sulfuric acid, it generates electricity by forming electrons.
What be 'em electrons?
Electrons are electricity, little beaver. It's the same thing that makes this telephone work.
Oh, go on. It's the fella what talks into it that makes it work. You hear his voice over the wire.
No, Buckskin. Through a magnet, the voice sets up electric impulses, which are carried over the wire. And someday they'll even be able to hear voices without any wires.
Without any wire? Bill boy, you've just been studying too hard. Now, what you need is a rest and exercise.
Excuse me, Buckskin, but here come Red Ryder and Mr. Halligan.
Say, they got back from that cavalry post awful fast, didn't they?
Well, leave it to Red Ryder. He's faster than the wind. Faster than these electrocutions you've been a-talking about.
Hi, Uncle Jim.
You fixing up the cavalry already, Red Ryder?
Yeah, we sure did.
Well, then, before this here young Bill Halligan burns the hide off me again by putting ketchup or something in a jar of pepper and pouring it into the zinc where some cops do something to it or something, will you tell us now what you've been up to?
Yeah, if you'll just hold your horses and pull up some chairs, I'll explain the whole thing to you, because when it happens, I'm going to need everyone's help. Now, is that clear?
Well, the only thing I can't understand is what the cavalry got to do with this here whole thing, and why in thunderation we got to use the telephone to send them a message.
Well, the reason we have to use the telephone is that if the cavalry hung around out in the open waiting for Lobo to make his move, don't you think he'd spot him and lay off?
That's right.
So we're going to stake out 60 head of cattle down in that little pocket in the gully you can see from this window. We stay up here in the house watching the cattle. When Lobo moves in to rustle them, which is all the proof we need, we phone my neighbor, Dan Gable, where the cavalry will be waiting. They come charging down from the left, and we come in from the right.
But how do you know you can reach him, Mr. Gable?
Well, Halligan says that Gable's on the party line, so we shouldn't have any trouble. Now, if we can get one of those sirloin steaks again, I'm all for doing a little eating.
Gentlemen, friend, now you are talking. I may not know too much about electricity, but I sure understand them there messages I'm a-getting from my poor, empty, aching stomach.
Now, look, the day you lose your appetite, Buckskin, that's the day we've all been waiting for. Come on, folks, let's get into the kitchen and rustle up that chow. When tomorrow comes and we spring that trap on Lobo Lawless, we're going to need all the strength we can get.
The truth, Lobo. I give that corporal a few drinks, and he told me everything.
How do you know you can trust that Corporal Largo?
Because he's the cavalry colonel's orderly. He was just outside the door when Halligan and that nosy redhead were in there cooking up this trap.
Well, now that we know about it, I don't reckon it's any trap at all. Except that we are gonna sneak in and take the bait.
Huh? Swipe them cattle? With the cavalry just laying for us?
The cavalry won't be laying for us, believe me. But we'll be laying for Mr. Ryder. The next thing you know, some cut-price undertaker's going to be laying Mr. Ryder. Laying him out.
Well, gosh, this is a surprising turn of events. Whoever would have thought that all of Red Ryder's careful planning would be thrown into a cocked hat by a cavalry corporal who was eavesdropping outside the door? Well, believe you me, this is one trap that's sure going to snap back on Red Ryder with a loud bang. Well, here we go back for the smashing, action-filled climax of our Red Ryder adventure. As we continue with Wildcat Wire, we find Red and company, even little Bill Halligan, all out now herding the 60 head of cattle down into the hollow where Lobo Lawless is supposed to scoop them up.
I'll throw a few more shots over him. That'll turn him, Halligan. That does it. Enjoying yourself, Billy?
I sure am, Red. Never had fun like this in Chicago.
Well, cattle cars to stockyards. These here longhorns are kicking up so much dust, I'm a-catching pneumonia. So I say, let's get this here trap baited and get back to the ranch house.
Well, I'm all for that. Hiya! Come on, get along there, you cat. Come on, Thunder, let's get some speed and make a move.
Instead of pacing around like that.
No, Red's always like that. Just before the battle. Ain't a sign of them there varmints yet, Red?
No, nary a sign. There they are. Now to get on that phone. Hello. 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 Oh, gone if there's something wrong with this phone.
Let me listen to the receiver, Red.
All right, here, son.
Gosh, this line's dead. Someone's cut the wire.
Cut the wire? Jeepers creepers, Red. This here thing's backfired on us. Without the telephone, we can't notify the cavalry.
Good heavens, Red. Not only have they got the telephone wires down, but they've got us surrounded.
Looking like we being licked. We're not licked if we can get that wire fixed.
Well, fine chance of fixing the wire. They probably cut it 5 miles from here.
But look, Red, if I can cut the wire on this end and attach it to the barbed wire fence, and you or someone can ride out back and find the other piece of wire and attach it to the barbed wire, we can make a connection every bit as good as the real telephone wire.
Doggone it. Wire is wire. Bill, you're an electrical genius. I think that's going to work.
I know it'll work. If Uncle Jim and Buckskin get some guns and make it look as if we're fighting back, you and I can sneak out and tie the telephone into the fence wire in time to get the cavalry here for a real scrap.
Well, let's go, son, and maybe by the time our message gets through, we can trade the telephone wire and Lobo Lawless to the government for one hangman's noose.
Lobo, cutting that telephone wire certainly made this a cinch. And surrounding the house hasn't hurt none either. Hey, ain't that a kid down there doing something to that fence?
Great jumping. It sure is the kid. Whatever he's doing is making sparks out of that barbed wire.
Sparks? Do you think maybe he's doing something to that telephone wire we cut?
I don't know, but if he is, he's all through right now.
Lobo, you ain't going to shoot a kid, are you?
Shut up. I ain't wasting no time, and I ain't... What was that?
Jeepers, boss. That shot blew the stock right off your gun. Look, must have been that redhead. See him down there? He's down there, too. Aiming right up here.
Mikey! Hush! What's that redhead down over there on the left?
Sucker. I wouldn't give you a plug nickel for his life. But we got him sewed up like a goose in a sack, and by the time we...
Lobo, them sparks from that wire. They must have hooked up the telephone again. Look, here comes the cavalry. Take your horses. Come on.
Ryder, Annie Duchess going to be angry about us bringing him shopping home late.
Son, she's lucky we're coming home at all. That vulture Lobo Lawless completely outfoxed me. And if it hadn't been for little Bill Halligan knowing what to do with that broken telephone wire, well...
You know something, Red? That there Halligan youngster is going to be as big a man as Tom Medicine when he grows up. He told me just before he left that he was going to spend his time doing nothing but making it easier for folks to talk to each other. Maybe even hear music by electricity.
Well, what the Duchess is going to say to this isn't going to be music. I wouldn't be surprised if she gets some of her own wire and fences us in from now on.
We better knock 'em on horses and get 'em home.
Doggone right, son. All right, let's see you run, Thunder, and I mean really run.
Come on, Sid.